Okay guys, we are going to use our 2-dart bodice that we just created to do the mid-neck and waist style. So we're going to move these darts. Actually, we're going to leave this one here, this waist dart, but we're going to move this side dart to a mid-neck. Okay, so this is really similar to what we did when we were doing it with 1 dart. We're just potentially moving 2, but actually we're really even just going to move 1. So it should be very similar, shouldn't be too scary at all. So the first thing I'm going to do is trace it out so that I can make my worksheet. And so I'll use my cardboard 2-dart bodice, which should be easy to trace and hopefully not move around. Again, you can use a weight or something heavy to hold it down if you need to. Make sure to get all your notches and your bust point. Okay, so I've got that all here. And then what I want to do is pivot this dart to a different place, basically. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and draw my dart legs just so I can see where everything is. So I'm just coming right off of that bust point and into my notches. Okay, and then what I want to do is move this to the middle of the neck. So really anywhere. You can just pick a spot. So best thing to do would be to just kind of draw a line, and what I can do is connect it right to that bust point. So I'm going to kind of have my ruler here, and then I can just sort of move it around, and I'm going to aim for the center of that neck if I can. Maybe a little bit further down. Somewhere like there. Okay, so now this is going to be my new line. So kind of like what we did before, where we slash this, close it, slash this, and it'll open back up. And because we're leaving this one just as it is, we don't even need to touch that. So it's really super easy. It's just like doing this with the 1 dart, honestly. So let's go ahead and cut our side dart leg, at least one side. We'll cut it open. You could cut both, or you could cut just one. And then I'll cut on this new line for what will be our new dart. And I'm going almost to the edge so that it doesn't totally come apart on me. And then what I'll do is I'll pull this down so that it closes, and I'll do it like this so you can see. I'll do it with the top. There we go. Beautiful. You see how that just closes nicely, and then this one opens up. So that'll be where our new dart is. Super simple. So I'll use some tape for that, and then what I'll do is just retrace this out with our new opening. And again, this one remains the same for now, and then we'll talk about dropping these darts. So let me go ahead and cut this out. This is the fun part where you guys watch me cut. And again, as I'm cutting away my pencil line, trying to stay really nice and neat and still basically on the line, but cutting it right off. Definitely pay attention to keeping the curve in this neckline. You know, we don't want to make that neckline a funny shape since we're putting a dart in there. The shoulder here is always straight across. If yours ever seems to move for some reason, make it straight. Shoulders should be straight. Really no reason that should change unless you're doing like a sci-fi costume. or something similar. So we'll cut all of this, and again, I'm just going to cut this side seam also totally straight. There seemed like there was a slight bump, but I'm just cutting it straight because I know that should be a straight line. And then I'll cut my waist, following my dart. Okay, and so here I have my new shape. And so what I can do now is trace this onto a new piece of paper and get this shape of what's going to happen when the dart leg folds, and make sure to get that in there. Again, we're going to press that seam allowance towards the center, always, either center front or center back. Oops. And really make sure to keep those shapes in there of that neckline curve, even though we've cut a big hole into it. And make sure to transfer these notches so that that doesn't go away. So we still have that. And then we'll definitely make sure to get that bust point, because I haven't cut down here at the bottom. Let me show you what I did. I just made sure I put those notches in there too, but I don't need to record this anymore because now this is going to be our new shape. So I've got notches. I can draw that lightly right back up to the bust point because I know I'm going to drop this, right? So I know I'm going to erase it. Make that a little harder right now. And then I can draw to these lines as well. And just taking that notch all the way to here. So it looks something like this, right? But what I'll do is I'll drop both. And so this one here, I can drop it 1/4 of an inch, which is what I always do. Right, your bottom dart, your waist dart. Redraw that new leg from the same notch at the bottom to that dropped point. And then for that top one, I will raise it to take it away from the bust point. And the book actually says to raise this 1 inch, so like a little bit more. So again, I could do this, say, 1/2 inch instead of our traditional 1/4 of an inch. So I'll take that 1/2 inch up from this point, and then I'll redraw new dart legs that connect those notches to this point. And then I can erase everything that's in the center. And we can really quickly kind of start to see our new shape of the mid-neck and waist dart. And so my next step would be to add 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around. And the only other thing I need to do is get this dart shape. So I will fold one of these and I bring that right over, and look at that beautiful shape that it makes. And I'm taking the excess, pushing it towards the center front, and I'll trace. There we go. And this one makes kind of a funny a funny inner circle shape. And you can use your French curve to get that, or your ruler. Mine is not looking super great there. But now I can add my 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around to this. and transfer all my notches in. And again, this is our mid-neck and waist dart, bodice, front. Put my initials there as well. If we assume this front would be cut on fold, we can go ahead and add that green line. I'm just redrawing the front because it wasn't very dark. There we go. I could barely see it. So that was my center front. And here's my cut on fold. Green line pointed there. And I could say cut one. Whoops, on fold. Apparently I don't know how to spell fold. Fold. There we go. And then again, I can go ahead and add my 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around. And then I could also draw my little sketch of what this will look like so I can know at a glance. So I'll do that up here while I'm thinking about it. So here's my neckline, the same. It's got the same basic shape that all of them do. And this has my 2 waist darts here, but then mid neck darts here that are almost touching to give it that shape. And I think I might get cut off on my video, but I'll go ahead and start adding some of my seam allowance. Here, my 1/4 inch all the way around, and I'll just go until my battery runs out, which is basically what's about to happen. And then you hopefully get the gist from there. So the 2 dart is really not much different than the 1 dart. You may have instances where you move them both. You may not. I really just want to make sure I don't lose that pretty neck shape that was there when I started by kind of messing with it. And this is what happens when you put a dart into the arm too. You always worry. And so here at the ends of my dart legs within the seam allowance, I'm going to make sure I put cross T's for my notches. And then I'm going to make sure that I square all these corners. So it's really clear to see where my sew line would stop and where the seam allowance begins. There we go, pretty squared corners. Gonna continue. Looks like my battery is going to give me lots of life after all. I might be able to finish this before it cuts me off. No, it's like a race against time. And I'm just pivoting really slowly around those corners so that I get just the right shape. Make sure to have this notch come all the way over to touch both sides of the seam allowance. And then ideally your T is squared in there. And again, remember the side seam should be straight across. If it's not, it's a good time to fix it. For some reason when I traced mine, it looks like it got very wobbly. So you can see all my like scribbly lines. I might need to clean that up with my ruler. trying to square all my corners as I go, just to get in the habit of it. And finish off here. And again, I've got cross T for this notch, cross T for this notch. And now I really just need to clean up anything that shouldn't be there. There we go, that's a lot neater. Okay, and there we have our mid-neck and waist dart. Pretty simple.